No, headphones that have active noise canceling or like portable try to be efficient. A lot of times they have very, very soft foams to seal faster and easier. And those continue to compress oftentimes for very long durations. It could be, days.
Well, to carry on about our colors, which we tend to like to show people our new colors because every week we tend to add a few new colors of Diana TCs to our custom shop. And this week we've got a midnight green, which I think is still available on the website, at least as of today. And what's this one called? Orange Eagle. Orange Eagle.
Yeah, this one's kind of tough to tell the color green, probably on camera.
It almost looks black,
yeah,
but it's a deep metallic green. Pretty cool.
You get in the sunlight and it's like sparkly.
It changes color. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a, what do they call it, a pearlescent coat?
Metallic.
Metallic-y?
I think it's metallic.
Looks metallic.
Yeah.
Anyway, cool finishes. Hard to even take photos of, but I think it'll show up. Anyway, we have these on the Diana TC custom shop on our website. And so what we wanted to talk about today, speaking of custom shop, ear pad break-in. And I don't think anyone's ever discussed this before about the fact that ear pads break in. And I stumbled on the idea a while ago. A few months ago, I was doing some measurements in the QC room. I forgot the hell we were on, probably the clothes back. And anyway, I had a brand new set of ear pads on the thing. I had it on the head. And so it's on the test head, measure it, blah, 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 right? And then I go back the next day, I didn't touch a damn thing, and I measured it again, and it was different. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, did anyone touch this? Anyone move this? Anyone do anything? And I was like, no. And I'm like, oh, well, I was using a brand new set of ear pads, and I'm thinking as the headphone was sitting there on the test head, obviously over time, the ear pads they're foam, they will compress a bit from the clamp force, and they will contour to the shape of the head. And, it's something to consider because when you get a brand new set of pads, I know we've talked to people this before, the reason they're made of foam and not like hard materials is because all head shapes are different. So they have to adapt in order to be comfortable, in order to create a seal. They have to adapt your head shape.
Yes. And I think a point a lot of people don't consider on measurements, you don't take into account some human factors. And one of the big ones is temperature. Some materials on ear pads can form at a different rate with temperature. And humans tend to be warm, and measurement ears tend to be room temperature. So it's sort of an issue because that's a tricky one to really evaluate with measurements. But when you have it on your head, different foams compress at sometimes very different rates depending on the temperature. And it could take a fair bit of time for them to really saturate. So sometimes it might be 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours before they're at as soft as they get when the temperature goes up, when the full headphone comes up in temperature.
Never. Like what comes to mind is the Grotto pads. Those things are stiff as hell.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever conform.
Right. Well, they don't change much with temperature and conditions.
Yeah, right.
So there's
Or
a pro
wear.
there.
So it's more consistent, I guess.
Yeah.
Where they are is where they're probably always going to be.
But then some of those denser memory foams, they slowly compress.
Yeah.
And then, so maybe 10 minutes, 30 minutes?
You see that a lot on headphones.
Days.
Or it depends.
No, headphones that have active noise canceling or like portable try to be efficient. A lot of times they have very, very soft foams to seal faster and easier. And those continue to compress oftentimes for very long durations. It could be, days in some cases. And temperature could kind of help accelerate these things.
Well, primarily because they don't have a lot of clamp force either.
Right.
So if you're not pushing on the foam pads much, then they're not. One thing, like when I'm doing measurements on the test head, one thing I do is I'll seat the headphone where I know it's probably going to be a pretty good measurement, right? And I'm looking at the ear, how the ear's fitting into the interior of the space of the ear pad, right? I just know from doing tens of thousands of measurements. And then I get there, and then I'll gently push the headphone into the head and let go. I'm preceding the ear pads because I know how ear pads act
Right.
when I'm making measurements. Therefore, it's not changing on me those first 5 minutes or whatever while it's sitting on the head. So I'm actually giving it I'm not shoving it in and so I'm blowing things up, or damaging the microphones in the ears, but you just gently push it in to set the thing on the head. And I do that as just a matter of practice because I realize that this matters.
Well, it's not only that. We're going through a bunch of measurements, making like tiny changes. Use the
Right.
same pads every time too.
Yeah, right.
So if you're using like a different driver or something, always switch the pads to the ones you're using in the first measurement, so you can get it as consistent as possible.
Yeah. There's a lot of variables involved, but it's same with listening though. I mean, that's the deal. If you got a brand new headphone and it's cold out, let's say it just came off the UPS truck and it's winter time,
Yep.
right? It's cold. You want to, can't wait to put it in your head, and it's like, oh, this is stiff. I don't like instantly you don't like the comfort factor.
Well, and they're cold, so then they make you cold.
Well, yeah. But bottom line is the foam's stiff, and that foam, it'll warm as you wear it, but you get a bad impression out the box because, the foam's cold, and foam is designed to be at room temperature. Well, you hope they design a headphone to be at room temperature.
Well, it's a fickle thing because you hope that the product is designed to be used by humans in a conventional pattern. So you would expect a headphone, you may have it on for half an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours or longer. And in that period, there's going to be changes that occur. The headphone is typically going to be at room temperature when you first put it on, and it's going to be in an elevated temperature when you start wearing it. So the question is, if temperature matters, which it overwhelmingly does with most materials, what temperature did you design it for? Do you design it for when it's cold, when it's on a measurement head, when it warms up after half an hour or an hour? And you also need to take into consideration what's the pros and cons to having different materials. How much do they change with temperature? Should I design this with this different material that changes more but has a more positive outcome? So should I design it so it's better when it's warm, but a little bit worse? You have a wider window when it's cold? Because now it could measure worse, but sound better when it's on your head after half an hour.
Yeah, and I mean, technically speaking, the measurements were just an example, but it really is about how it sounds. You know what I mean? From a subjective standpoint.
But it's tricky, though, because a lot of people, if you're just doing measurements, think about how it's measured. You take a cold headphone, you put it on a measurement head, you test almost
With a
immediately.
flat steel plate?
Yeah, like it has. They try to make
There's no
it.
contour.
It depends on the measurement apparatus. Yeah, but they try to make it more or less similar enough. But some of them are flat on the sides, and they can be aluminum, right? And compare that to a human face, head,
with
ear
soft
assembly.
skin.
Yeah, it's totally different. You have heat output as well. You could design things
also
to
have hair.
sound. Yeah, you could design
Which is
something to
leakage.
sound and work well with
Well, you might.
with your person. But you could also design it so that in the situation where I'm measuring this thing, I take a cold headphone, I put it on the head, I test it in 30 seconds after it's seated. Over time, it's going to compress. It's going to change that. And in reality, when you're wearing it, that's going to occur, but you're not accounting for that.
Well, yeah, see, and that's the thing, too. Like, you're also, when you're putting it on a test head, that's at room temperature. It's ambient. Let's say it's, whatever, 20 degrees Celsius or, 70, whatever, Fahrenheit, right? That's the temperature. But
Yeah.
your body's at 98. So you wouldn't,
Well,
as
your
you,
face-
as you,
your
your
skin's a
face,
little
yeah,
warmer.
is that damn near 100 degrees or whatever the hell it is in Celsius. So bottom line, though, is that those pads, as you're wearing it, warm and soften to your face. And so you actually did get a different response out of the headphone wearing it than a room temperature test head
We
would.
could start heating our
Over
head.
time.
Yeah,
we
to
need
human
we
temp-
need heated heads. Yeah, we're gonna have heated heads. But see, that and, it may not be that important
Yeah.
as long as you get a seal on the
Yeah.
test head, might not be important. But it will, from an ear standpoint, from a brain ear standpoint, when you think about it, you're changing the spacing of the driver relative to your eardrum
Yeah.
as the pad compresses on your head, and it may compress in one spot more than the other, depending on how the headphone clamps.
Yeah.
So you may get a little angle out of it because most headphones have this going on. So let's say the front starts put more pressure here, it's going to compress more foam there. Now you get more of an angle in front. Like half hour in, you're like, wow, that soundstage is way better than it was when I started. And it's things like this. There's so many variables involved with ear pads that people don't really consider it, and you should. You should consider that at some point there is a baseline that you reach, giving a temperature and given how long the headphone's been in one position.
And of course, on top of that, there's physical wear. The materials are going to wear. You hope they're designed so that they wear in to a long, steady state. But it could be that it depends on how they were designed. It could be they were designed in very short durations, just moving it on and off a head. And then as a result, they were effectively designed to be tested and used brand new, and they didn't account for how they change as they wear.
Well, foam quality varies dramatically too.
Sure.
I mean, all these things are stuffed with foam, and
Yep.
primarily it comes from China is primarily the manufacturer of most of these things, and the foam quality can vary, and you may not notice it up front. It may pass the firmness test, right? But over time, I know like with couches are like that. I know like a sofa, where our original we've got a brand new sofa, and maybe 2 years in, the cushions were flattened out already in the middle where most people sat, in the center watching TV.
Sure.
And it like they were replaceable. They had zippers. We could take them to a local shop that replaces the foam. And the guy goes, "Oh yeah, it's this Chinese foam stuff. We'll get you some good American foam." And they got you look in their warehouse, and they just got stacks of blocks of all these different foam, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, we've had the replacement foam in that sofa now for years. And it doesn't flatten out like the original ones did. So I mean, they both feel good. They both had a good feel, brand new, but one flattened out and the other one didn't. And so
Well, beds are like that.
totally.
Some
yeah.
bed, you get a cheaper bed. Yeah, you just get a divot from where you're sleeping.
Well, yeah, that's
after
true.
like a year or two.
It's
Yeah,
very
now,
common,
now
yeah.
that's true. Everyone's
Yeah.
a lot of people
foam
are running solid
mattresses
foam
now.
mattresses, so people can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. In fact, they'll measure failure by how much it deflects, right, over time.
Yeah.
They'll measure, go, well, that's bad. It shouldn't deflect so much. If it does, then something's wrong with the foam.
And the issue is with a headphone, this ear pad and the foam is creating the space from ear to the driver. And its location is going to be relative to this volume, this foam. And if you have stiffer foam, you could have it push out. If you have softer foam, it'll squish in more. And with time and temperature, these things will change. And as the pad wears, all these characteristics change. So you will get measurable, like actually very noticeably measurable differences on some headphones with some ear pads as they wear.
Yeah, and some people say, well, big deal, so it pushes in a little more or whatever. And I'm like, well, it's not necessarily a big deal, but it is a percentage game. If you have 6-inch deep ear pads and you lose a half inch, probably ain't going to matter that much.
Yeah.
But
Well,
when you
most,
have-
most aren't that
when
deep,
you-
obviously.
I'm just saying, as an example, right?
Yeah.
Versus if you only have 1.5 inches to play with and you lose a 1/4 inch or a half inch, it's
Yeah.
significantly more loss.
Yeah, the volume is
You know?
significant.
Yeah, right. And overall volume too,
Yeah.
right? Suffers too, which is again tends to set up a sense of space. So anyway, we probably shouldn't go any deeper in it because that's pretty deep as it is. But
It's a complex one.
It's
a lot
a
of people
thing.
don't think about it, but pad wear matters
that's not as much an issue with the 1266. Now that I
Yeah,
think
right.
about
because
it.
it kind of floats.
It
You don't
doesn't
really wear
clamp.
them.
I was thinking about that, yeah.
It is what it is. Its size is just dependent on. But yeah, but on most headphones, it's quite a variable, and even with measurements, you got to watch it. It's quite a variable.
Well, it's kind of the worst case scenario because it happens very slowly over a long time. Now, some maybe 6, 12 months, 24 months, some maybe 5 or 10 years, but still, it happens slowly. So you don't really feel it. You don't notice it in the day to day. It's only when you put a new set on, you go, whoa, this is different.
right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New shirt, new shoes. No, shoes are like that too. Come to think
Shoes,
of it.
yeah.
They kind of wear in.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, anything.
The leather's
Couches,
loosened
yeah,
up.
yeah.
Yeah. Chairs.
Chairs,
Yeah.
beds.
Yeah.
I mean, shoes are made out of similar enough materials to
Jeans.
ear pads, right?
Yeah.
A little different stiffnesses and
Shit.
stuff.
Come to
But
think of it, everything we wear breaks in.
Yeah,
everything does, yeah.
with
Everything
use.
does. Yeah. So there you go. There you have it. Please subscribe, people, because we're trying to hit 20,000 by the year, and we're not getting there too quickly.
Yeah.
You've hit the subscribe button now.
Just
Go
keep
there.
hitting it.
It's just
You can
once.
only hit it once.
Yeah, if you hit it again,
Ah.
it might take you away.
Mhm.
Yes, subscribe. It's important. It's important. You gotta take care of yourself. Thanks.